Hi everyone, so today's state was Arizona. So I did this little craft for the girls. I cut out a little lizard and just kind of rolled the tape and taped it underneath. And then they took some stamp markers and dot markers and just dotted the whole page. We also looked at what animals are native, and there's the lizard that I kind of based my drawing off of. We put our sticker of the state, and they colored the state of Arizona. And we also watched ABC Mouse on the Grand Canyon. The girls loved it. It was very informative, perfect for their age. They're 5 and 3, almost 4 and 6. They learned a lot about that. And then here's their finished project. So you could see they did the whole outline, and then we took off the sticker of the lizard, and you can see the outline. It was pretty cool. There's my oldest taking off her little outline, and you can see the little lizards. Very cool. Then we did some writing. So this is my youngest, drawing the number 5, down belly across the top. And then my oldest was doing some adding. So she added all those numbers in like a graph. And then towards the end, she finally caught on to like the pattern of, oh, okay, it's a pattern. I get it. So it was starting to click. That was pretty cool. And then my youngest was doing whiteboard. She was doing letters and things like that. So both kept busy, and she was definitely understanding this adding a lot more since we had to do it so many times. So that was great.
1 plus 1.
And then after this, she did a couple more adding worksheets, and I'll show you that in just a minute.
2 plus 1.
But yeah, she was finally getting the pattern too and realizing it was going to be 1, 2, 3. There's the other worksheet that she did. There's the finished graph. And down at the bottom, there was some other adding problems. And then we did Spanish together. We learned about the verb dormir. And again, this is Homeschool Languages Spanish 1. I love this. I would recommend it to anybody. Dessert tonight, we are making sopapilla cheesecake. I know sopapillas are a popular Arizona dessert. They're like a little fluffy donut, and they sprinkle them with cinnamon sugar. But we're gonna make the cheesecake version because we've had it before and it's delicious. So we're gonna make our homemade puff pastry. You can use crescent rolls instead. We're just gonna make it homemade. So I've got 2 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to grate 2 sticks of cold butter. My flour is also frozen, so that's cold too. We want this as cold as possible. Then we're gonna add in 2/3 cup of water. So just a second. Okay, so this is 1 stick of butter that I just grated, and we're gonna mix this up, and then we'll add some water and then add the 2nd stick of butter. This is what we're looking like. We're gonna grate the other stick of butter, and grating it makes sure that it's evenly dispersed, and it's gonna be super duper flaky when it's in the oven. It starts to melt. That's what's gonna give you your puff pastry. So here's our little dough ball, and we're gonna let this sit in the fridge for about 30 minutes. It is still a little sticky, but when we roll it out, we're gonna use some flour to help it not stick, and we wanna keep those little pockets, so I don't wanna overwork it. Now for our filling for the cheesecake, I've got 1 block of cream cheese, I've got 1/3 cup of sugar, and I have 1 egg and 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and that's it. So that's gonna be our filling. We're gonna mix that up real quick. Okay, so this is our filling. There are still a couple little lumps of cream cheese, but that's okay. It's gonna bake up pretty fine. You could easily double this. I'm making this for an 8x8 square pan, but you could definitely double it and do a 9x13. I just know that we're going to be doing dessert again in another couple days, so I don't want to have tons of leftover. I do in half, and I rolled it out, and then I just cut off the edges so that it would fit in my square pan. Now this is just a dough. I sprayed the pan. This is just dough, and now I'm going to add the filling, the cream cheese filling on the top. And then we'll roll out the 2nd piece of dough. I have it still in the freezer. When I'm not working with it, it's going in the freezer. And then I'm going to spread softened butter and sprinkle it with tons of cinnamon sugar. Okay, so we have our cream cheese layer on top, and I have my top dough rolled out. So now I'm gonna lay that on top, and I'll show you what's next. Okay, so I spread about 3 tablespoons of softened butter. And then in this bowl, I have about a little less than half a cup of sugar and a bunch of cinnamon. I measured that with my heart. I love cinnamon, so usually go. I always usually end up adding more than the recipe says. So I'm just gonna sprinkle this on. Get a good layer because you want that crunchy, cinnamony top. I think that's good. Okay, now I'm gonna pop this in at 375. Let me see how many minutes. I'm gonna go in at 350 for about 30 minutes and we'll see what we're looking like. Okay, so this took probably closer to 50 minutes, honestly. I just baked it until I knew that it was done. It smells so good. The top is nice and crinkly and crispy. We're gonna let it cool on the counter and then I'm gonna stick it in the fridge until we're ready to eat it for dessert. The girls are also doing a little sewing project. My littlest is just learning and we can't find another one of these needles, so my oldest has to wait, but she's gonna make extra scraps of the dough. So I just rolled them in melted butter and the rest of the cinnamon sugar that I had, and I'm gonna bake these too and we can snack on them. Okay, so for dinner tonight for the state of Arizona, we are doing Indian fry bread tacos. So right here in my bowl, I have half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and I think hang on. Okay, so for tonight for dinner for Arizona, we are doing Indian fry bread tacos. So in my bowl here, I have 2 cups of flour and then half a teaspoon of baking powder and salt. And I'm so glad that didn't get on camera. I just spilled flour all over me. And then I have a cup of warm water. And so I'm just gonna add this to the flour mixture and stir it until it turns into a dough. It says this will make about 6 like taco shells, tortilla shells. I might make them a little smaller though because my girls are smaller. So we'll see how many it makes. Okay, so here's our dough. And then it says to let it sit. So I'm actually gonna it says for 5 minutes, but I'm gonna let it sit until I'm ready for it. I'm gonna go ahead and ground up some ground beef and heat up some refried beans real quick and make sure we have cheese shredded. So here's what the fry breads look like, kind of rolled out. They're not very pretty, but that's okay. I'm using my same pan that I ground the ground beef in, and I just added some olive oil. Feel free to use a clean pan. I just want less dishes. So this is what it's looking like. I'm gonna do about a minute or 2 on one side and then flip it over. You can already see it starting to cook and starting to bubble up. This part in the middle is still raw, obviously. So let's see what happens. Okay, so here's one that just got done. I did put a little bit of salt on the top as soon as it came out, and I'm just letting it dry on a clean towel. To get some of that. Our fry bread tacos. The girls have already eaten theirs and they really liked it, so cheers. Okay, so here's the sopapilla cheesecake. Unfortunately, even though I baked it for 50 minutes, I think because my dough was partially frozen, because I stuck it in the freezer, I think I should have let it come to room temperature. And unfortunately, the bottom is still pretty raw and it didn't flake up like it was supposed to, so yeah, don't do what I did and maybe let your dough come to room temperature before you bake it. I don't know if that was the problem. Maybe it was just a bad recipe, but yeah, that did not work out. It still tasted good though. I did try it. It still tasted good.